Hi, my name is Nicholas. Welcome to this week's Yin practice. A few props that will be handy for today, a couple hard blocks, which you can place near the top of your mat, and also either a soft block or a blanket, something that you can use to sit up off of or for cushioning. We'll get started in a seated meditation for today. So take a moment to find any comfortable seated expression. You can use any of your props. You can do cross-legged or legs extended even. And if for any reason being in a seat doesn't work, then feel free to come down onto the back instead. And whatever's touching the floor, gently ground it down and see if you can lengthen the spine here and close down the eyes, soften the shoulders, the shrug muscles. And taking these first few moments of your practice to collect your thoughts and collect your breath, to notice the body. And gently flutter the eyes open as you feel ready. We'll set up our first shape for today. So take the soles of the feet together, the knees nice and wide for a butterfly. If you want to support the knees here, you're welcome to use your blocks. And choose how close you want the feet to the pelvis. It'll change the stretch a little bit, so see what feels best for today. And then mindful of the low back, bring the chin in towards the chest and start to round the upper back like the head is really heavy. And then just keep going with that and see where you end up. Mindful of anything that you're feeling along the spine, along the pelvis, or anywhere else. And pause when you find a place that feels workable. If you find that you're feeling pinching or something electric or sharp, then listen to that and you can back out or you can modify. Let the head be really heavy. And with the support of the hands, as you feel ready to slowly unravel the spine once again, you can pause with a tall spine. You can bring the hands behind you and puff the chest up for a counter pose. Awesome. From here, we'll transition into our second shape. So if you have a prop underneath you, you can remove that. And we'll take the left shin mostly parallel to the top edge of the mat, and then see if you can send that right leg behind you for pigeon pose. So don't worry too much about where the left shin ends up pointing, if it's out towards the right or if it's a little more behind you. Listen to the knee and the hip, see what you need here. And then notice as well, if it feels like you're leaning heavily over to one side, you might choose to support the other side with a prop. So if you have your soft block nearby, you may choose to take it underneath that left hip and just see how that feels here. And then the option to stay upright for as long as you need. If you feel ready to fold in this shape, then go for it. Maybe you'll land on the elbows or maybe onto the chest. You could use your bolster here for support or a hard block. And take your time settling yourself in and finding a place that feels workable. If at any point the shape becomes too intense, then you're welcome to back out or modify. As you're ready to exit, then slowly use the hands to lift yourself back up. If you have a prop under the left hip, you can remove it. And then from here, we'll bring the right leg back around. And setting up for a double pigeon pose, fire log pose, you can set up the left shin parallel to the top edge of the mat. And then straight away, if the left knee is floating, you might choose to support it here with a prop. And then from here, we'll take that right shin and then stack it directly on top of the left. So the right ankle will be over the left knee, and then the right knee will be over the left ankle. Now, a few options here to modify. So in my case, I have a pretty big gap here, so I can choose to use a prop. Another option might be to stagger the legs slightly, so you might end up lying the right shin just in front, almost like an easy pose, but still mostly parallel for the shins. So see what version you want. The one where they're completely stacked tends to be the most intense, and you can play around too, like as the shape kind of becomes more comfortable or your body gets more used to it, you will likely settle into it as well. And then the option is there as well if you want to support the hips or the low back or anything like that, then you can do that as well. And we'll take the shape with a tall spine here. So you can have the hands wherever feel comfortable or supportive. You can close down the eyes and just be in the experience. Awesome. If you're happy with this shape and you'd rather stay exactly here for a little while longer, then go for it. Otherwise, we'll set for a twist. You can take a deep inhale here. And as you exhale, turn the chest over towards the left any amount, and the hands can land wherever they need to. So maybe to the foot, to the floor. You can use props if the floor is far away. And next time you inhale, coming back to center. And with the next exhale, twisting over to the right. And again, take a moment to set yourself and settle in here. And the next time you inhale, unravel back to center. And then pause here for a moment. Awesome. And for here, we're going to take one last expression with the legs. So you can move the props out of the way. And now right ankle will be crossed in front of the left leg. So like easy pose. And from here, we're going to lower this down all the way down onto the back. If you do need any extra support, if the sensation is too much and you want to support the knees a little bit here, go for it. Otherwise, just pause on the spine for a few deep breaths. And as you feel ready to collect the knees back into the chest and give yourself a hug, a rock side to side. Awesome. We'll come back up to a seat so you can rock your way up if you like. If you prefer to come down to one side first, then go for it. And if there's anything else you need before you set up for the second side, then take that. When you do feel ready, we'll set up Pigeon for the second side. So this time, right shin mostly parallel to the top and help the left leg all the way around. Make sure you have any of the props that you need nearby as well. So again, without worrying too much what the shape looks like, make sure that it feels steady. Make sure that whatever shape you choose feels sustainable we'll be here for a couple of minutes. Adding any props, and this side may need something a little different to the first side as well. When you do feel ready, finding your version of a fold. Taking your time. Slowly, with the support of the hands, make your way back up. And if you have a prop under the right hip, then you can remove it. And we'll bring the left leg around, setting up for a fire log pose on the second side. So setting the right shin up, mostly parallel to the top of the mat. And then your choice, again, you might bring the left leg to stack on top of the right. You might just stagger it slightly forward. You can use your props again, so maybe a block between the left knee and the right ankle. And take a moment, ground down whatever's touching the floor, lengthen the spine, maybe close down the eyes. And again, you might stay here, or if you're coming with me to the twist, take a deep inhale and twist the spine towards the right. Hands along wherever they land. Inhale, breath back to center. Exhale, breath over towards the left. With an inhale, returning back to center. Setting up for the last shape in the series. So removing any of the props that you have, and then bring the left shin just in front of the right, like easy pose. From here, transitioning onto the back, just make sure you have your hard blocks nearby because we'll use them once again. So take your time to lower down and then settle yourself in when you arrive. Take a few deep breaths here. As you feel ready, you can collect the knees into the chest, wrap the arms around the shins, and give yourself a hug, a rock. And then lower the feet back down onto the floor. Find your heart blocks. You can use one or both. And then press the feet down, lift the hips just enough that you can lower the pelvis down onto the props. So this should feel really nice and supportive. If it feels like it's digging into the spine, or if it feels like the blocks are under the spine or the back instead of the pelvis, then shift them down a little bit. And then one option will be to stay exactly here. The second option is to take the feet wide apart and let the knees dip in together. And this might be a nice counter stretch for some of those pigeon variations. Always mindful that the knees stay quiet, that the hips are happy here, and the arms can be wherever feels most comfortable for you. Awesome. If the knees are dipping in, then you can lift them back up and walk the feet back so that they're about shoulder distance apart or hip distance apart. And then from here, think about extending one leg and then the other long down the mat. And again, this should feel really good, but if it doesn't, feel free to bend the knees once again if that felt better. Notice as well if it feels like you're holding the feet in a particular shape. If it feels better to let them flop out or in, just let them do their thing. And hands can be on the body or beside it. It might also feel to take the arms up overhead. And slowly, if the feet are flopped open or closed, bring them back to center and rebend the knees one at a time. Lower the arms down if they're lifted. And then lift the hips just enough that you can slide your props out of the way. And let the pelvis touch down to the floor. So notice the length in the back body. And then from here, you might extend one leg and the other once again. And you can release the arms down to your sides. And if you need to make any adjustments for your Shavasana, then go for it. Adding layers, dimming lights, making it a little warmer. And take your time to get comfortable, to get settled in. And bringing your attention back to the space, finding a little movement through the hands and the feet, maybe a rock of the head side to side. Awesome. As you feel ready, you bend the knees, take the feet nice and wide apart, and then start to windshield wiper the knees side to side. Awesome. When you're ready, back to center, and then roll off to one side. Take a pause for a couple of breaths. And with the support of the hands, making your way up to any comfortable seated position. You can use any of your props. And grounding down whatever's touching the floor, lengthening the spine here. And take a moment to check in with the body, take a scan, see how everything feels. Collecting the hands at the heart, maybe above the chin towards the chest. And thank you for sharing your practice. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for Yin practice today. And again, my name is Nicholas. If you have any questions, please reach out and enjoy your evening.